Going to go now to Frank Gaffney. Frank joins us. He's the president of the Center for Security Policy. So, Frank, after you've had a chance to think about it for a couple of days, I've had a chance to be in Asia and now in the Middle East and getting reactions from people about the president's national security strategy paper and his speech. What are your thoughts a couple of days after this is out there?
Well, we had a chance to talk about it, of course, on your late night program right after it came out. And
Breitbart News tonight.
Yeah, my thoughts have, I think, been reinforced by what's happened since. Stephen, that is that the president has, it seems, finally gotten his team to accept what he said as a candidate is what he wants to do as president of the United States. And the policies, the programs, the promises that he was making as a candidate, I think are what we need as a country. Substantial course corrections from what we saw with the Obama years, most especially, but frankly, for that matter, the Bushes and Clinton as well. And yet, tragically, we lost a year between the end of the campaign and this moment when the national security strategy has come out. And I ascribe that to personnel who were put into place, particularly in the National Security Council, who did not support the president's agenda. And I have to say, I'm delighted that they've apparently bellied up to the bar and got a paper out that does seem to embrace what he set out to do. But we can't afford another go at this with the same personnel to come up with a better result. They will reduce this, I'm afraid, to empty rhetoric again if they're given a chance. So I'm hoping that the president will now populate his administration, particularly in his national security arena, with people who are prepared to execute on what is the right strategy. And I'm very anxious to support him in doing that.
You're one of the top experts in the country, particularly on the right, regards to the Middle East and in this great kind of greater Iranian war we're fighting in the Middle East. When you read the details between President Trump's rhetoric and President Trump's beliefs in some of the line, I mean, look, 90% of the strategy is fantastic. It's a repositioning, a reorientation. It ties economics right to our national military strategy, which I think is extraordinary. It hasn't been done. It also puts China on notice that they're a competitor, strategic competitor, not a strategic partner, and they're also waging economic warfare, what is called economic aggression in this paper. But I noticed, Frank, and I've even noticed it more since I've been in the Middle East and had some people point it out to me, that there is a line in the Middle East section that I wanted to ask you about. They said, we will support, I think the line is, we will support a regional balance of power. What does that strike you as?
Well, there are a couple of lines in there. Another one is that we won't have a missile defense that will deal with the Russian and Chinese threats. I don't think these are actually things the president agrees with. But on the balance of power business, Steve, I have the feeling that is the deep state sort of insinuating itself to say, well, it's okay to call out Sharia, as he does, as the ideology that is animating the jihad against us, Sunni and Shia, by the way, and that we need to counter with this, the kind of strategy that my old boss Ronald Reagan employed, using all instruments of national power to deal with it. Which,
but hang on. But when they say balance, I've got that. I've got that part of it. But when they say balance of power in the Middle East section, are they talking about maintain? Is the deep state or whoever helped draft this saying that they're comfortable with the Iran versus the Sunni Arabs? That balance of power, is that what they're talking about?
I have the feeling that it is. I think that's.
Do you find that disturbing?
I don't think is the president's actual view of the matter, because
I would think that the Riyadh. I think the Riyadh summit is that we're on the side of the football with the with the Sunni Arabs, right? In this regard, versus the Persian Empire that continues to, yesterday they had a missile go in to try to hit a palace in Riyadh from Yemen, which is another part of the proxy war. But is that, I got to tell you, it's a pretty shocking line. We're having our guys Gork and them look at it today. But is this the tip of the hand that the Tillerson State Department, the rest of the deep state, believes actually there should be a balance of power in the Middle East between the Persia and the West?
Yeah, that's my reading on it. It could also, by the way, I was just listening to H.R. McMaster, the National Security Advisor, who has got to go, on the BBC this morning, and he was sort of touting the line. I think he actually said, we're completely neutral on Israel versus the Palestinians. Well, there's another balance idea, and I think it's equally at odds with what the president actually believes.
Alex, we got to be pulling the BBC. Are we? Let me ask you, Frank. Is our national policy? Are we completely neutral on Israel versus the Palestinians? I think it's a newsflash if it is.
Well, I think so too. And I think it's a place where he was trying to finesse with the question of, has the president taken sides on this Israel, embassy move and Jerusalem's recognition and so on. And the truth of the matter is, I think the president actually believes we're on the side of Israel. We're on the side of Western civilization. We are opposing people who are trying to destroy it, whether they're doing business as the Palestinian Authority or Hamas or Hezbollah or regime or the Houthis or, on and on. And that's the place where I think the overwhelming preponderance, you said 90%, I'd say it's 99%, Steve. The overwhelming preponderance of this strategy, it seems to me, got it right, that we believe in things, that we stand for things. The things that we stand for are rooted in principles, and that, among other things, means believing in freedom, and people who are free people are our allies, and we support them, and it's better to be our ally than to be our enemies. These are the sorts of things that I think, again, the president ran on and expressed a commitment to change from the practices of the Obama administration, which more or less favored our enemies, let's be clear, notably with respect to this business with the Iranian bomb.
Yep. Frank, how do people get more access to Center for Security Policy? Where do they got to go? Because you guys put a ton of great material. I want to make sure everybody's got access to it. How do they get there?
Well, I'm happy to say if some of it appears on your pages, but ours is securefreedom.org.
Securefreedom.org. Frank, Merry Christmas. Thank you for joining us today.
You too.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.